and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how my little pony Duke is now out with the big boys. We're also going to be talking about my meeting with the RSPCA, all about horse welfare and how we can make life better for our horses. And also, I'm going to be talking about how last weekend I had the first stop of my book tour. So yes, the book tour has begun, and what it was like talking to lots of people on stage. But anyway, before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Red Post. Red Post is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, but they also ship all over the world. And right now, we have a big congratulations to Red Post because they actually won Retailer of the Year at the BETA Awards. If you don't know what BETA is, it is the British Equestrian Trade Association, I'm pretty sure. There we go. The dyslexia was dyslexia and then lots of letters. Anyway, but yeah, huge congratulations to Red Post for doing so well. But also, exciting news, Red Post are also sponsoring the Fox Hunter class at Hoys, or Horse of the Year show, that I'm actually going to be there this year as well. So lots of exciting news for Red Post. Also, if you're looking for any equestrian or country attire, they are the place to go to, especially as we are soon going into autumn and winter. So if you need some new stuff, go and check it out at redpostequestrian.co.uk. Anyway, let's get into today's podcast episode. First off, I thought we would do a little update on the horses and how they've been doing, because the other day, Duke went out with the big boys, which is very, very exciting. So if you didn't know, Duke is my little rescue pony from World of Horse Welfare. He used to be out with my retired pony, Mickey. Sadly, we lost Mickey back in December. So Duke, he's been like next door to the horses, but he hasn't been out with the big boys. And that's for two different reasons. Number one, Duke is a lot smaller, and we didn't want him to get bullied, basically, by the others. It's when you introduce a horse into a herd, it's something that you do very gradually, and that's kind of what we were doing. So they're now in a herd of 3, which is lovely. But also, one of the other reasons is, if you didn't know, Duke, his breed, we think is some sort of Welshie, so he's a native pony, and the thing about native ponies is they get fat very, very easily. Joey is half thoroughbred, and he is in full work. So Joey needs a lot of food. Duke needs barely any food to survive, basically. And the thing that I was kind of like worried about putting them in together as well is that Duke needs a lot less food. So dietary requirement wise, what we're doing at the moment is we put Joey and Casper out in the morning with their hay. They can have their breakfast, that kind of thing. And then once they've eaten the food and all the food is gone, then we put Duke in with them, because Duke just gets so fat so easily. Like, that boy, honestly, we're driving along. Actually, I did say this to Dad the other day. We were parked, I think it was before Blenheim, we were parked at a service station. There was like an abandoned garage, like petrol station, gas station, that kind of thing. And it had like a little bit of grass growing on the concrete. And I was like, honestly, Duke could survive in that like petrol station for a year, I reckon, on that grass, honestly. But obviously you don't want to starve your horses as well, because then they can get ulcers. So that's the fun thing about horses. It's really like just trying to balance a seesaw in the wind. That's like what it's like owning horses. Anyway, I feel like every horse owner either thinks their horse is too fat or too skinny, or there's something. Anyway, so it was a big day. We put Duke. Now, Duke actually has been out with Casper a few times. The first time Duke went out with Casper was actually, this was about a year ago now. Casper, for some reason, he decided to jump over the fence and get into Mickey and Duke's paddock, which is funny because it really is like the grass is greener on the other side, because the grass that Mickey and Duke's paddock had no grass, like barely any grass. So Casper actually moved to a worse paddock, which is very funny. So I think it was actually when Dad and I were away and one of our friends was looking after the horses for us, and she sent a photo through being like, Casper isn't where he should be. And I was like, oh dear. But you know, they seem to be all right, all doing well. So that was quite funny. So we have actually put Duke and Casper out quite a few times before. When I go away on like long trips, like for a long period of time, then Joey goes to my friend's house. He goes for a little sleepover, and she exercises him, keeps him occupied, because Joey is a horse with a very busy brain. So anyway, there is that. So yes. So when Joey goes away, what we sometimes do is put Duke and Casper together. And actually, when it's just Duke and Casper, they get along quite well. Like, Duke is very submissive with Casper. He'll, like, go up to Casper and be like, you are my saviour. You are the king. I will do what you say. I love you. I love you so much. And Casper's just there, like, not bothered at all, just getting on with his life. When we put them out as a 3, now 3, odd number, I'm thinking we need a 4th horse. You know, even out the numbers. 4 is a nice number. 3, it's just a bit awkward, you know. Anyway, I'm going to get people way too excited. Anyway, so we did put a bit of hay out because we thought, Duke likes to stir up trouble. Although he is small, he thinks he's a 17-hand stallion that's king of the world. So anyway, we put him in there and we thought, is he going to try and chase the other horses and play chase and play run around and that kind of thing? But no, it was actually, what was so funny was, do you know what Duke did? He didn't try to go up to the hay where Joey and Casper were. He didn't, have a run around. What did he do? He was a dirty poo sniffer. He went in there and just was sniffing all of, Casper and Joey's toilet areas. And we were like, Duke, no. Anyway, I guess like that's kind of normal for horses, smell out, the competitions, smell out their besties. I don't know. But he was really going for it. He was, a good hour just sniffing, just taking it all in. So anyway, and then he found the water straight away and dunked his whole nose in, which was quite funny, and just got water absolutely everywhere. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to go and say hi to the others. I thought Joey was going to be really excited. I thought he was going to be running around. To be fair, I did ride Joey and Casper before I put Duke in with them, so maybe they're a little bit tired. But anyway, I thought Joey was going to be, I think Joey has definitely mellowed in the last year. He's gone from very like baby Joey, very hyperactive, very kind of like too excited about life sometimes, and Joey's he's become chilled. I mean, I'm liking the chilled Joey. He just seems very chilled and relaxed at the moment, which is good. But anyway, he was just standing there, just staring at Duke. He was just staring at him, doing his poo sniffing, staring at him and everything. And he was just like, all right, I'm going to go back to my hay. Casper just ignored Duke. Casper was like, Duke, you do not exist. I don't know who you are. Like, Casper was just could not care less. He did not give anything. Anyway, so Duke was like, okay, I've done my poo sniffing. I've, made my rounds. I've got used to this new paddock. I'm going to go over to Casper because obviously Duke and Casper, they've been out together. They've been besties. So Duke comes over to Casper. Casper pulls the most like scary face you can imagine. Casper's ears pinned back, teeth showing. My mum said if Casper could growl, he would have growled at Duke. And that's all it took. And Duke ran away like, okay, I'm going to give you your personal space. Because Casper, like, don't get me wrong. Like, he probably, like, you're going to listen to this and be like, Casper's such a meanie. He shouldn't have been so mean to Duke. But you've got to remember, Casper, he is an older boy now. He is an old grumpy man and he likes his personal space. And when the baby comes along and tries to take his food and get in his personal space, he's just saying, hey, these are my boundaries. These are my boundaries. You cannot go in my personal bubble, okay? So anyway, that was quite funny. It was funny, but also, like, Duke, he didn't care. He was like, oh, okay, I see how it is. So he went up to Joey, and Joey was like, yeah, you can be my bestie. So anyway, they got along well. But then after that, I thought Duke was the dirty one, doing all the poo sniffing. What did Joey do? Joey spent the whole afternoon going up to Duke. Actually, Joey's favourite thing is rubbing his face on other horses' butts. Like, if Joey has an itchy face, he'll just go up to Casper and just rub his face all over Casper's butt and use him as a scratching post. So anyway, what did Joey... Joey is literally like a dog. He loves sniffing things. And what did he decide to sniff? Duke's butt. The whole time, the whole afternoon, I'm not even kidding, every time I looked out, Joey's nose or his nostrils were under Duke's tail, and I was like, what is going on? What is going on? And then Joey was doing his sniffing face. So I've forgotten what it's called, but there's a special scientific name for this. But basically, Joey was curling his top lip up, doing his sniffing face, really sniffing. Like, I'm saying, like, this is like intense sniffing of Duke's butt. And I was like, I know dogs do this, but he was going to town. And my mum was like, do you think Duke's okay? Like, and Duke was like, Duke just didn't care. He was like, Duke is the most chilled horse. Like, he does not care about anything. When we first flew a drone over his paddock, tried to chase it away. Like, Duke is the most chilled out guy ever. And I feel like the little ones are always the chilled ones. So anyway, that is my update. We now have a herd of 3. I want it to be a herd of 4. Not now because I'm busy on a book tour, but I do think a herd of 4 sounds nice. So anyway, let's get on to comment of the week, because you guys know recently I've been really bad at remembering it. I remembered it last week, so I might have 3 comments of the week this week. I have a lot to talk about. You guys always leave great comments, and I'm too kind, I'm too soft. I want to go for all the comments. But anyway, the top comment is from Carmen, and she even put comment of the week entry in a very fancy handwriting, or font should I say, because it's on text. Hi Esme, cheers from Australia. Hello to everyone in Team Australia. You guys are going into spring now, and I'm very jealous because we're going into winter. So anyway, enjoy the spring. I hope it makes you very happy. Anyway, my pony prince hates this one Rottweiler named Anna that we pass on a hack, and he does a little Joey jump every time. So for some context, if you didn't listen to last week's podcast episode, the comment that I asked you guys for comment of the week is, what is something strange that your horse likes to spook at? Now, I would say Rottweilers, or just a big dog in general. I don't have any beef with, I don't want to say Rottweilers are scary, because I know some very, very lovely Rottweilers, but I don't want to start beef with the dog community, because I feel like the dog community are very protective over their breeds. If you start slating a breed, they will get you anyway. But I feel like all dog breeds are lovely. All dog breeds are lovely. It just is, there are certain dogs. That's one thing that really annoys me, because obviously I've been talking for a long time that I really want to get a dog one day, and I've talked to so many different people, and they're like, you don't want to get this dog breed, I've seen that dog breed bite someone, you don't want to get this dog breed, they're like super crazy. Like, I think, like, don't get me wrong, obviously there is going to be certain things with certain breeds, but there is also a spectrum as well. You can get some lovely dogs from different breeds and some not so nice dogs from some breeds, and I kind of think of it as like people. You're going to find lovely people in life. You're going to find some not so nice people in life. And I don't think that necessarily correlates to where somebody's from or their background or anything like that. But anyway, that was my little rant. Don't be prejudiced against dog breeds. Anyway, moving on. So yes. Sorry, back to Carmen's comment. Does a little Joey jump every time. So Joey, like, when he gets a bit excited, he does like a little leap where he just basically, it looks like he's levitating. It looks like he's being abducted by aliens, because all 4 feet they just lift up the ground. To be fair, he hasn't done that in a little while. As I said before, Joey's in his chilled Joey era right now. He's very relaxed about life. But anyway, she says, plus Aussie wildlife like possums in bushes. That's one thing I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about possums. We don't have possums in the UK. I guess I forget that Aussie wildlife. You guys have crocodiles. You have cassowaries. If you don't know what a cassowary is, they are basically, it's like, if you can imagine an ostrich with a knife on top of its head, that is a cassowary. It's like this big bird, and they have they're talons. They have talons that are like, yeah, just knives. Anyway, I remember seeing one and everyone being like, you're really lucky, and 8-year-old me was like, this thing looks like it could take me on. I mean, it could. Anyway, currently zoning into your podcast while listening. Wait, she's struggling with the reading here. Currently zoning into your podcast while doing my maths homework, and both my mum and I absolutely love listening to your podcast. Shout out to your mum, Carmen. And do your maths homework. Make sure you're concentrating. I don't know if maybe listening to the podcast is the best thing to do while doing homework. So make sure you because I don't know if you're anything like me, but back when I was doing my maths homework, maybe this was just the dyslexia. Dyslexia works with numbers as well. Anyway, I would always write down the wrong number. Like, I would do the maths question like perfectly, like know all the stages, did all the things, and then like, especially if it was like a calculator paper one, I'd accidentally write the wrong number down. I don't know why. That's just how my brain works. It's really frustrating. Anyway, so yes, do your maths homework properly. And we both think your dad is such an icon and should be featured more. My dad is currently... Oh, he's done a little whoop as well. Wow, that's his like feature of the month. Really, that's the most you're getting. But he did a little muscle flex when you said that, which was quite funny. So thank you so much, Carmen, for your comment of the week. One of the reasons why I chose this comment of the week actually is because I have a Rottweiler story actually. Now, my dad's looking at me being like, "You know the story. You were there, Davide." Anyway. So he's shaking his head. I think maybe he's blocked this out. The trauma, he's blocked it out. Okay, so this is going a little while back now. So back in COVID times, I know, almost 5 years ago now, my family and I thought, how about we go for a lovely long family walk? So anyway, we went for a walk and we thought, oh, how about we discover maybe some new footpaths? My dad's laughing now. He's like, he remembers the story. How about we discover some new footpaths in our village? Now, there was this one footpath that was a little bit overgrown and it was a little bit, it was the other side of the village. This was like a long, long walk. So anyway, we're like, oh, why don't we go through this way? We've never really been through it before because it kind of goes to like the main road that then goes to town. So we were like, oh, we didn't normally go that because it just goes to the main road and you have to kind of like crossing the main road in non-COVID times is a little bit sketchy. You normally have to wait there for a little while, especially if you're on foot, let alone if you're in a car. Like, it is a lethal junction. Anyway, so we were like, there's no cars on the main road. We'll go this route. And it was actually, I remember that being the most bizarre thing, standing on the main road and there just being like, no cars. Anyway, the Americans are going to be freaking out because isn't that jaywalking, which is like illegal or something like that. Anyway, in the UK, as long as, you know, it's a free-for-all, if you cross the road, that's on you. If you get hit by a car, that's on you, unless there's a zebra crossing. But anyway, so we thought, let's go to this footpath. So this footpath goes past a stables. I really don't want to like end up doxing myself and telling everyone where I live, but I feel like this is kind of what's called. This is definitely vague enough that nobody's going to figure out where I live. So there is this stables that backs onto this footpath, and we're walking along, and there was not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 huge protection dogs that I'm pretty sure are Rottweilers. Now, we were walking along. I don't know if I still have the video on my phone because I found it funny but terrifying at the same time. This video of my brother's face. So it's our little family of 4, my mum, my dad, me and my brother, walking along. And yeah, we heard these dogs coming and we thought, anyway, there's some dogs. That's what you do. Like, we're walking very near their territory. And then we see these Rottweilers and we're like, oh, these are some big dogs, and these are some protection dogs as well. So they've been trained that if anyone gets onto their land, it's free real estate. Anyway, so we're walking along, we're like, oh, and we're like, luckily, there's a lovely big 6-foot fence next to us. So we feel relatively safe. Now, the issue is, as we're walking along, this 6-foot fence gets a little bit smaller. And it gets a little bit smaller, and it gets a little bit smaller. And these dogs, because we're walking next to their territory, get a little bit angrier, and a little bit angrier, and a little bit angrier. And this was when my family and I came to the conclusion that this is probably why not many people in the village walk across said footpath that is overgrown. So anyway, we start legging it. We were running for our lives. We were like, I don't care if there's a car going across this main road. We're going to hop the main road. We're getting away as fast as possible from these dogs. It's safe to say we went a different route on the way home. We did a loop. We did not go back that way. And we have not been back since because that fence was a little bit too small for my liking and a little bit too rotten and a little bit too wobbly. So anyway, there we go. And then I just remember my mum being like, saying to my dad, would have take one for the team and let us run away and get attacked by the dogs? Anyway, we were trying to think of what we would have done, like get like a jumper out and like, I don't know. Anyway, so there we go. That is I know some very lovely Rottweilers, but these were protection dogs and they were doing their job. Let's just say that. Anyway, let's go on to some more comments of the week. Let's move on. So this next one, because I also asked about what's the weirdest thing that your horse is spooked at. And this one actually, Casper. This is very Casper coded. So this is from Isabella, and Isabella says, "Hello Esme, the weirdest thing my pony Ash is spooked at is 2 pigs on a road ride. The pigs were minding their own business, but he wouldn't move past them. Ash also hates runners and cyclists, no matter if they're not even near him. I hope you're surviving the winter. New Zealand winter is just ending, thankfully. Isabella," and then a smiley face. Again, you guys in the southern hemisphere are laughing, so shout out to everyone listening in New Zealand. Anyway, yes, pigs. Oh my goodness. I think horses and pigs, like, I think they are in a past life arch nemesis. Yeah, arch nemesis. Anyway, because Casper, he hates pigs. There is this one ride that we do around the village where they used to have pigs, and every time he goes into what I call stallion mode, where even though he's gelding, he acts like a stallion. He grows an extra hand. He dances about. My dad has to go in front of him to be his emotional protection human. So anyway, yeah, Casper hates pigs. Actually, there are a few pony club clinics. There are a few pony club clinics. That sounds like that's such a Peter Piper picked a pepper. A few pony club clinics. Anyway, that we would do, and there used to be, or there were, pigs. Now, Casper does not like pigs. The pigs had since been removed, but that corner, I don't know if he could smell the pigs, but every time we would ride past this one corner, he would spook at it. He would be like, no, not going near there. So anyway, let me know. I need to think of something for comment of the week, but let me know if your horse is also scared of pigs, because I don't know if it's just a Casper thing or if it's just like a lot of horses in general. I mean, Duke and Joey, I don't know if Duke's ever seen pigs. Joey must have seen pigs at some stage because he's done that same route before, and I think he was pretty chill. But yeah, Casper hates pigs, does not like them. So anyway, and then we do have one more, and this is from Mabel. And Mabel says, "Hey Esme, the funniest thing my horse has spooked at with me is a man with a giant backpack. It was about the size of the man himself, and it was on his back while I was out hacking. The ponies were terrified. Brackets, to be fair, if I was a horse, I would also be scared. Also, love the podcast and always looking forward to Saturdays to listen to the new episodes." Oh, thank you, Mabel. Oh my goodness. So where we are, we have a lot of people do their D.A.V. Now, if you don't know what D.A.V. is, it's the Duke of Edinburgh award, and it's like a big thing in the UK that a lot of secondary school kids do, or even older actually. I think my brother's done his bronze and his gold. I've only done my bronze because nobody in my year group wanted to do the gold. I would have done the gold if other people wanted to, but I didn't want to go and be with a different school. Anyway, so it's where you do lots of different things, such as you have to do so many hours of volunteering or community service. You have to do so many hours doing some sort of physical activity, like a sport. And then also you have your, you have your expedition. So the expedition is normally like a big hike where you camp overnight. Obviously the gold is a lot more intense than the bronze. The bronze, I think we literally just camped somewhere for the night, did a big walk. And you have to like read with a map and a compass, and it's like survival skills, that kind of thing. Anyway, and if you do your gold, you get to go to Buckingham Palace, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so there are loads of kids with these big rucksacks with like tents and camping stuff in. And often they're also, like, for safety reasons, they are bright colours. So if anything happens, people can see, that's where that fella is who's, passed out on the ground. Anyway, so often I'm riding along and there's like a group of kids with big old rucksacks on and pots and pans that are clanking about and that kind of thing. And tell you what, Casper does not like that either. To be fair, there's a lot of things that Casper doesn't like, thinking about it now. But anyway, thank you for your comment of the week. Actually, back to the previous one with Isabella, the Casper also recently, the other day, actually, it was so funny. We were going for a ride and a guy cycled by, and Casper was in race mode. He was like, "How dare this cyclist overtake me? We must catch up." So Casper was doing like the fastest trot I've ever seen his little legs go, trying to catch up with this guy. It's like, Casper, it's no use. You're not going to catch up with him. But then like 5 minutes down the road. We overtook him, and Casper was gassed. He was so excited because the guy had stopped because he had a puncture. And Casper was like, oh my gosh, look at me go. He was so proud of himself. It was so, so funny. Anyway, I need to get on to, I've been waffling away, like telling you so many different stories. I mean, this is literally my job, like to waffle, basically. But I need to tell you about what I've been up to this week. So first off, had a very exciting meeting in London with the RSPCA. Now, if you didn't know, the UK is actually currently in a horse crisis, which a lot of people will probably be surprised about that, a horse welfare crisis, because there are so many horses out there that aren't getting their needs met. And the whole campaign that they're doing at the moment is the 3 Fs. So that's freedom, forage, and friends. I might have got that the wrong way around, but they are the 3 things. Anyway, so a lot of horses aren't getting their needs met because they're not getting turnout. There are a lot of horses where if they are being turned out, it's only for an hour or 2 a day. Horses, obviously, they're herd animals. They're meant to be outside. They're meant to be with their friends. They're meant to be foraging. So this is my little spiel for you all. If you can at all, if you own a horse or you share a horse, anything like that, try your best to make sure that they get enough turnout. They get enough time with friends as well. When you think of when a horse is in a stable, they don't have their friends that they can really groom next to each other or that kind of thing. So please, if you can, try and make sure your horse gets as much turnout as possible. It was really interesting because I was talking to a lot of people there, and the amount of people that were saying the amount of yards or stables that don't offer turnout in the winter, or they've had to move yards because of that, or they had turnout but their horses weren't with friends and were on their own. So again, horses are herd animals, so if you can, please, please, please meet their needs with friends, forage, and freedom. There we go. Anyway, so that was really interesting. So I'll have more to talk about in future podcast episodes about that. But I just thought it was really, really interesting, really, really fascinating. Talking to lots of people, lots of vets, lots of people within the horse world. It was also really nice because a few of my friends were there as well. So I had a bit of a big catch up with them. Obviously the RSPCA team as well. Lovely to chat about them. Got some fun videos planned for them as well, so keep your eyes peeled. I think one of the videos that I really want to do is the day in the life of somebody that works at a RSPCA rehoming centre. So everything from like the morning routine of feeding the animals, taking the dogs for a walk, cleaning, grooming, all that kind of stuff. I think that would be really, really fascinating. So anyway, keep your eyes peeled for that one. Anyway, I need to talk to you about my book tour because I've been away in Bath this weekend. I've had a very, very busy week. Actually, normally when I have a day, like a trip away like this, you guys know I live a very glamorous life of getting changed in service stations and having a service station breakfast. But this time, I had breakfast out. I mean, we got to Bath 8 a.m, went and had a nice cooked breakfast, which was lovely, and then I did my talk at the Bath Literacy Festival. So thank you so much to the Bath Literature Festival for very kindly having me. Met up with my co-author Jo, which was so lovely to see her, have a big catch up. We did a talk on stage. So a lot of people asked me, like, oh, how long were you on stage? What were you doing? So we were on stage, we did our chat for 45 minutes, which when you think about it, that's quite a long time to be on stage chatting away. I mean, for me, I actually did a thing at the beginning of my talk being like, hey, if you didn't know, I got a podcast, Esme's Country Life. Always like to plug the podcast. Anyway, and I am very used to talking for like an hour. Just actually, my episodes aren't normally that long. They're normally, I like them to be over half an hour. So between half an hour, 45 minutes. Sometimes they are an hour long. Sometimes I've got a lot to say in a week. Sometimes I'm extra chatty. But anyway, so I was like, Jo, because obviously we were doing this together. The last one I did at the Cheltenham Literature Festival, I was on my own, which I feel like it's more pressure. It was more relaxed having my co-author Jo because she could butt in, I could butt in. We had a bit of banter up on the stage. I was like, Jo, at the beginning, if I talk for too long, you need to butt in because I'm used to, doing my podcast solo and just waffling away for way too long. So actually, we timed it beautifully. I mean, we did like a little rehearsal, a little run through over a video call and that kind of thing. So we hadn't actually run through it in person because she lives quite far away from me. So anyway, all went really smoothly, really well. But what was quite funny, the whole day, because I had a book with me. If you're, for my audio listeners, I listen to a lot of podcasts myself, if you didn't know. I love podcasts. They're one of my favorite things. I love recording the podcast. I love listening to podcasts. But I often, when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm normally doing something else at the same time. Like I'm driving, or I'm doing the washing up, or cooking, or I don't know, something like that, or doing my laundry, like boring things. Makes my life a little bit more interesting. But whenever podcasters say, for my audio listeners, I feel like I'm getting a little shout out. So shout out to all the audio listeners right now. We do have it on video on Spotify and on YouTube. But my audio listeners, I'm sending my love to you, because I'm going to describe to you. So I'm currently holding my book. This isn't actually the dirty book that I'm going to be talking about, but it is my new book, The Pony Whisperer. I'm holding it up right now. Here is the book page noise for my audio listeners. I don't know if that sounded nice or not. I apologise if not. Anyway. Oh, Davide has got me the dirty book. Oh, yes. Anyway, this is the dirty one. So I've actually, now, all of my readers and all of my bookworms and book people are going to cry at this. Now, I think I might have talked about this a little bit in last week's podcast episode, where I put some treats in the book to get some really lovely photos of Duke eating it. Now I need to find the dirty page. Here it is. This is the dirty page for my audio listeners. I'm going to describe it for you. It is basically, if you can imagine a page that has been licked and had treats on, that is what it looks like. Now, it doesn't actually look too bad from far away, but the outside of the book is also quite dirty. Now, also what I did was, because in my on-stage tour, while I was talking, in part of it, I read an extract from the book. Maybe in one of my podcast episodes, I should read a little extract of the book. Maybe when I have a boring week, when I don't have much to talk about, I'll be like, guys, I'm going to read you a little taster of my book so you can go and get it. Anyway, I'm not very good at self-promo, so there we go. That's what you're getting. But I did do a little line of where I needed to start, and I dog-eared the page as well, which for me, I never do that. To be fair, this is really bad. I'm more of an e-reader kind of girl now, because I go so many places and I read and if I finish a book, then I've got a second one all loaded up, ready to go. Anyway, so I haven't actually, read a physical book for a little while. But anyway, back to especially as I like my dyslexic friendly font on my e-reader, and not all books have that. But you know what? My book does. Dyslexic friendly font right there. Anyway, sorry. So on stage, I did 2 apologies. Number 1, I am dyslexic. I apologise in advance. I'm rubbish at reading things out loud. When I was at school, that was my worst nightmare. And in the class, you would go around and each person would read 2 pages. I would literally count the pages and try and figure out where I was next in line, and would read those pages and not be listening to other people, because I was so worried about reading those pages, and I'd practice them. Anyway, and I had that once, and I accidentally miscounted. It was double dyslexia. I'd miscounted the page, so I've been practicing the page that my friend next to me was actually reading, and I was like, no. Anyway, so if you told past Esme that she would be on stage in front of hundreds of people reading a passage, she'd be like, nah, that's not me. She would not do that. She would cry at the thought of that. Anyway, so I did that. I'm not going to lie, I did practice the passage a few times. But the other thing that I apologised was about my dirty book. Now, when I told people, there were quite a few horrified faces, because obviously this is the Cheltenham Literature Festival. These people... No, not Cheltenham, sorry, this is the Bath Literature Festival. Sorry, Bath, I'm talking about your competitor here. It's like talking about someone's ex-boyfriend. Anyway, sorry, Bath. So the people of Bath, the book people of Bath, they were horrified. The looks on their faces, they were like, how dare the book get destroyed? But also, I kept calling this book my dirty book. So when we were at the cafe, and I was eating my breakfast, and we were leaving, and I said, oh, can't forget my dirty book, really loudly in front of everyone in the cafe. Horrified looks from everyone in the room, looking at me like I was carrying around some adult themed book about some naughty stuff. And I was like, no, my horse licked it, which I don't know if that's better or worse. So, and then I said it again when we were in the green room. So anyway, before you go on stage and do this kind of stuff, there's often a green room where the person on stage like has like, I don't know, has their like blue Smarties or whatever it is. Like some divas are like, I must have this and this and this in my green room. I just had a lovely cup of tea. Anyway, but in the green room, there were quite a lot of people from Penguin there, a lot of people from the Bath Literature Festival. There were a lot of like book people there. And anyway, I was like, oh, I can't forget my dirty book. Again, horrified looks from everyone in the room looking at me like I at this children's book festival that I'd had some sort of like 50 Shades of Grey with me or something. Anyway, so no, I was like, no, it's the book that my horse has licked. Anyway, because I was like, yeah, this is the one that has been destroyed, so therefore I don't mind, putting annotations and lines and highlighting it, so when I read it on stage, it's a little bit better. But anyway, it wouldn't be an Esme's Country Life podcast episode without some sort of embarrassing moment. So that was my embarrassing moment of the week. So now I'm going to put my dirty book aside. And we're going to say thank you to Red Post for sponsoring the podcast. Go and check them out at redpostequestrian.co.uk. Also, by the time this podcast episode goes out, my book will actually be out. So go and check it out. The Pony Whisperer, part of the Starlight Stables gang, book 4. When this episode goes out, I'll also be in Ireland as well. Apparently, I'm going on live television, which I'm a little bit scared about. So to my Irish people, I can't remember what it's called, but check me out on telly. I'll probably put it on my story or where I am at what time. I feel like I'm going to be like that kid that goes, I have never been on live television. Apparently, like, I'm just worried I'm going to do that. No, I'll be fine. I was on stage talking to hundreds of people. I'll be fine. Anyway, on that note, we're going to finish up and wrap it up here. I really hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode. Comment of the week. What should I get you guys to comment for comment of the week? Ooh. We talked about lots of different things. I always like to try and do it something, maybe about the book, actually. What's your favourite, if you're reading, what are you reading at the moment? And what books would you recommend? Because I'm always on the eye out for new books. Now, if you do say my book, I will like you very much. But also, I would actually like some recommendations as well. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!